Welcome to the Indie Horror Junkie podcast. Tonight, you will be joining Rotting Ricky and Asylum Amy as they play host to some of the true movers and shakers in the indie horror scene. So lock your doors, check under the bed, and get comfortable, because here we go.
And I'm Sylvia Saska, and we're the Saska Sisters, and this is Indie Horror Junkie! Indie Horror Junkie! Indie Horror Junkie!
Hello, boys and girls. Welcome to another night of thrills, chills, and the Indie Horror Junkie podcast.
What is up, people?
I'm Rotting Ricky, and we have Lance. Lance, say hello.
What's happening, everyone?
Check out his cool hat. Isn't that great? Yep, very excited about that film. Can't wait.
Don't forget my shirt, too, because I got to represent Indie Horror Junkie while I'm here.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. We can't have that, not happen. So, all right. Well, we got a great guest that we're going to be bringing on board here shortly. Amy is going to be out this evening, but she may pop in. You never know. In the meantime, you're just going to be stuck with us for one night. So let's go ahead and do some quick housekeeping and then bring on our guests. We can jump right into the chaos. Lance, take it away.
Issue number 18 of the Indie Horror Junkie magazine is currently available. Celeste Bland on the cover, along with Hell House Lineage LLC. We've got tarot cards. Don't want to forget about mentioning them. We love tarot cards. The Clock is available through tarot cards now. Let's see. We also, speaking of The Clock, available on Roku, Screamify, Tubi, and all of the other ones you see there. Voodoo. Great flick, by the way, Rick. And then obviously the Scaricon Film Festival and Scaricon Convention, September 5th through 7th in Syracuse, New York. You can go to scaricon.com, get your tickets. And then we also got the Nightmare Collection.
Mm-hmm.
You guys are doing that. Nightmare Collection Volume 1, 2, and 3, all available on DVD. Actually, you're running a special right now, ain't you, Rick? All three for $35, right?
All three for $35.
So go to IndieHorrorJunkie.com, order that. Great horror anthologies. And then we've got the issue 19 of Indie Horror Junkie is going to be coming September 13th, but we're only going to reveal the cover on September 1st, and it'll also be available for pre-order sales on September 1st as well.
Mm-hmm. Now, we can't tell you who's on the cover. It's a very special cover.
Very special guest.
We're very excited about it. But this is how we do it. We show the little mystery thing there, and then on the 1st, the cover will be revealed, and it'll open up for pre-sales, and then they'll actually start shipping on the 13th. As far as Scaricon goes, too, we also have some special screenings that are going to be there. Not that they're not actually a part of the actual competition. As a matter of fact, the actual competition is closed. We've got all our selections made. There's our selection box that shows you all the posters from all the films that we'll be playing as part of the competition. We're really excited. We got some great films there.
Yeah.
Hopefully, we'll have a lot of the filmmakers on hand. But we also have some special screenings that are going to be held in a different room that are kind of non-competition. Really cool screenings, and those are them. I butchered the English language of that one.
Sorority of the Damned, Popeye the Slayer Man, The Boy Below, and then obviously Hell House Lineage LLC. That is got a lot of good feedback so far from what I've been hearing about it.
Yeah, and we're going to have filmmakers, we're going to have cast and crew on board for all those. We're going to have panels, so you get to meet and greet and chat about the films. So yeah, it's going to be a great, great time. So definitely head over to scaricon.com, get your tickets. It's going to be in Syracuse, New York, the weekend of the September 5th, 6th, and 7th. And Indie Horror Junkie will be in the house, so you definitely want to come check it out. What else? Did we miss anything out there? Or do we think we covered everything? Oh, we also have
a couple guests.
Indie Horror Junkie Film Fest. Submissions are open for that. That is right now going to be held at MegaCon Orlando of next year. It's going to be March, but the submission process is open. So if you've got a short or a feature that you want to see play at our event, it's going to be myself, Amy, Lance, and 250,000 of our closest friends out there at MegaCon. So definitely make sure you get your film in through Film Freeway, and we'll get it going through that process, and hopefully you can come out and be a part of the fun. Other than that, I think we're ready to bring on our guest. What do you think?
I think so. The man, the myth, the legend.
That's right. So what we got, as we normally do, is we show a trailer to show you his latest piece. It's called Hard Place. So we've got that up right now. We're going to bring up the trailer. After the trailer, we'll have him on screen, and then the grilling will begin. All right, here's the trailer for The Hard Place.
You said no one would get hurt.
We need to find somewhere to lay low. Somewhere off the grid. I know just the place.
What the hell?
Let's blow this pop stand.
Where are you gonna go? Where? I know you're scared.
You step outside that door, and you'll get tore apart. We've been warring with these monsters for a long time.
We're caretakers.
They're coming for us.
Drink this in. Because it's your home now.
The creatures that roam the night and the monsters that rule the day still out there looking for vengeance.
But they all die.
We're just trying to lend a helping hand.
Good luck. Just get daddy!
That was intense.
That looks like all kinds of fun.
Yeah, it looks all right.
Yeah. How's it going, Joe?
Good, good. Thanks for having me.
Oh, thanks for being on board. I will go ahead and man the comments here, and let's go ahead and start the fun, Lance.
Well, Jay Horton, you make movies that make money. It is awesome to have you here. A Hard Place was a great flick.
Thank you.
Incredible cast. Felissa Rose did an amazing job. Henrietta was an amazing character. So tell us about A Hard Place and what it was like putting that together.
So, A Hard Place, I mean, it was basically, I wrote the original script like decades ago.
Wow.
Oh God, 2002, maybe a little earlier. And it was originally vampires versus werewolves.
Okay.
And I was like, I'm a freaking genius. Like, nobody's really done like a big action movie with vampires and werewolves. This is awesome. Like, the very next year, like, Underworld comes out. And I just kind of shelved it, And then, maybe about 5 years ago, I did Craving, which was a monster movie. And I was like, I wanted to follow that up. I wanted to do another monster movie. I had so much fun doing the monster thing, but like, I want to do it bigger. And I was like, like A Hard Place, that was a good script. And then I just went back and kind of reconceptualized the monsters and then, kind of updated it and, redid the script. And, my family is originally from West Virginia. So the Hatfield and McCoy feud thing is we talked about that since I was a little kid. So like I wanted to, have that like in the mix. So it's like you have these monsters and they're from, the rural like South, and they're kind of like the Hatfields and McCoys. They've been fighting for so long they don't even remember what they're fighting over anymore. That
was actually one of the things I brought up in my review. I felt like a very Hatfield and McCoy type feud in that aspect. Not to mention where you shot it was very Hatfield and McCoy-esque.
It was. Yeah, we shot in right outside of Dayton, Ohio. But we got this 50-acre horse farm, and it was just a godsend. I mean, it had everything. We had the barn, the house. I mean, acres and acres of woods, all different kinds of topographies. And because of when we had to shoot, it was winter, so it was very, it was bleak. There's no leaves on the trees. It was gray most of the time, so it worked out really well. I mean, it was not a cushy shoot. but but it was good. It was good.
So tell us about the reconceptualization of the characters, because you went from vampires and werewolves to kind of a whole different take on monsters.
Totally. I mean, at the end of the day, honestly, what the monsters are wasn't so important. It was like their function in the movie. But like I had come up with this idea that where the criminals were, like where this was all taking place, was actually kind of the Garden of Eden.
Okay.
So I was like, what monsters would like work with the Garden of Eden? And, I was like plants, trees, the apple. And then I was like the snake. So I was like, the other ones would be reptilian. So I would do, and I still kind of went with the vampire werewolf mythology a little bit. So I had, except I kind of switched the werewolves and I made them into the plant creatures, and I made them like, instead of being nocturnal, they're day creatures. They come out in the day, and the reptiles would come out in the night. And the idea is that these two sets of basically guard dogs are there to guard the Garden of Eden and keep others out of it, the plants in the day and the reptiles at night. But something happened, and then they start feuding, and that goes on.
And like you said, they just, at that point, they don't even know what they're even arguing about anymore.
Exactly. And then they reproduce differently. So there was actually a whole thing with the plant creatures in my original script where they actually raped like human males was their thing to reproduce. I ended up not going with that, but that is kind of the idea. Like they reproduce kind of regularly, whereas the reptiles are a little more vampire-like. They actually have to change, someone, and when they do, that arrests that person's development. So they'll kidnap people from time to time that come through. They'll leave them there. They'll breed them. They'll raise the kids. When the kids reach a certain age, they'll turn them. Which is also why the plants are kind of out, overrunning them now, because they can reproduce more and more easily.
Wow. What was that old 80s movie that was similar? What was it, Humanoids of the Deep? Where those creatures came to shore and were grabbing the women to reproduce them?
Yeah, totally. Yeah.
That was cool.
Yeah, it was.
I haven't seen Hard Place yet, but like I said, Lance saw it and reviewed. I saw the review and everything, and I saw the trailer, so I'm really interested in that. Now, as a filmmaker yourself, I mean, how long have you been doing this? When did this first start? What was it that first bit you that made you, I want to get into this ridiculously difficult and soul-crushing profession?
Yeah. So I've always been a huge movie guy. So like I'm a small guy. I'm 5'6". I was very small as a child. Like I actually had a growth spurt in high school. So like before then, I was almost like a little person size. Mm-hmm. I was very small. Like, so I wasn't good at sports. I didn't play sports. I had friends, but I really went inside movies. That was my thing. And I could name every actor and everything. I could name the directors, but I was from Fort Wayne, Indiana. And it didn't seem, and this was, in the 90s, late 80s into the 90s. And at that time, it did not seem like a feasible thing, to pursue. So I liked it. It was my hobby, but I was, just kind of messing around. And then I went to college in New Orleans a few years later. And University of New Orleans had a really good undergrad film program. And I was studying communications. I started taking some film classes. And this was right around between 99 and 2003. So this was right when New Orleans, South was starting to happen. Like the big Hollywood movies were coming through there.
Okay, right, yeah.
Stuff like that. And I'm talking to all these cats that, that coming through the school that, they're making livings, working on these movies, and they're like working class filmmakers. And then all of a sudden it kind of didn't seem like this mythic thing. Like you didn't have to be famous. You could work on, I met the director of, I forget his name, but he did the Trauma movie.
Lloyd Kaufman?
Yeah, no, not Lloyd Kaufman. He was a director, Class of Nukem High. The director of that, he was living there. I forget his name.
Yep.
I know.
I know the movie. I know the movie.
Sorry. Anyway, he directed that, and I was talking to him, and he, he was making, his way, as a filmmaker, but he wasn't rich. He wasn't a big Hollywood guy. He was just making small movies. And so I was like, shit, I want to do this. And right around that time was when 28 Days Later came out. They shot on the I think it was the Canon XL1, the mini DV camera, and the Panasonic DVX, the 24 frame a second, camera came out. We were like, oh, let's make a movie. So me and two buddies in film school, we wrote this script. It was like 75 pages. We wrote it on like not even using a screenwriting program. It was like in Word or something, and just threw it together to have something to shoot. And we shot this feature called Rise of the Undead. We spent about $2,000 or $3,000 on it. We made it in this incredible location, but honestly, the movie's not great. But we finished it though, and we got it distributed, and it was like, oh wow, we didn't make any money on it, but we got it distributed. And then I thought that, all right, well, I'm going to move to LA. And when I moved to LA, I've made this movie. It's been in Blockbuster Video. Like I'm going to get hired.
Back when Blockbuster was still in.
Yeah. And dude, I couldn't get hired for nothing. I couldn't get a PA job, like nothing. And then, I got like 6 months later, I got a behind the scenes videographer job on a really crappy little horror movie called Butcher House. I don't think it ever came out. And, but I met a lot of people through that. Like the guy doing special effects was Tom Devlin. And I ended up DPing the first movie he produced that his wife directed. And then I started editing and directing movies for this executive producer of that, who was also doing Black Christian movies. And I did a bunch of those. And then at the same time, I was doing my own stuff. Like I did Rise of the Undead, and then I talked to a producer into putting.
That's quite the paradigm there. Black Christian movies and horror flicks.
Yeah. Dude, I worked for those guys, AMG Film Partners, for like probably 4 or 5 years. I directed maybe 15 movies for them, 12 or 15, something like that.
Wow.
And I did family like comedies. I did a talking dog movie with them. I did the Black Christian movies. I did like an erotic thriller, like a bunch of different stuff. And I'm watching these dudes make all this money on the back end off these movies that I'm making very little of. And I'm basically putting these together. Like I'm crewing them, I'm directing them, I'm editing them. And I'm like, man. So then I start little by little doing it for myself, and so that's kind of where I am now.
Awesome.
Interesting. You have a question here. Let's go and bring that up here.
Yes.
Dominic, question for Jason. Was A Hard Place profitable, or is it still making its money back? That's only been out there for a little bit, so I'm not quite sure you have.
Yeah. It's only been out for 2 months. I don't really have numbers to share on it.
Okay. Do you distribute yourself, or do you have a distributor, or what do you do?
So it depends on the movie. With A Hard Place, I actually am doing it through Film Hub. However, like they took kind of a traditional distribution route with it. So I got a minimum guarantee from them. I got paid up front for the movie.
From Film Hub?
Yeah, from Film Hub. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, they're starting to do it with a select number of filmmakers. Like they want to be known more as a traditional distributor. So, if the movie fits, the right boxes, they'll do it.
Interesting, because I had been told after a while it's like almost nobody gets an MG anymore unless you.
It is true. That's totally true. Like they're very small or you don't get them. And honestly, I think Film Hub's doing it right now, trying to make a name for themselves as a distributor, but it is happening.
Well, I think that says a lot about you, though, too, that they're willing to do that with you and with A Hard Place. So it's the quality of you and the quality of the film.
Totally. And I've worked with, well, not worked with, but I've done a bunch of videos on Film Hub. I've had the CEO on my channel, so they know me, and I think they were looking for something to do together.
Interesting. Now you said that some of the films you go the traditional stuff. Others you don't. What is the other route that you do? And how does that differentiate? How do you determine what type of film you're going to distribute a certain other way?
It changes so much over time. So, Usually, like, I look at a thing when you finish a thing, because you don't know how it's going to turn out when you start. It never turns out how you expect, either better or worse or different or whatever. So, I look at the thing and I got to take a realistic look at it. And is this thing, worthy? I don't want to use the word worthy, but is it right for a bigger distributor? Is this a thing that's going to make enough money that I can go to a traditional distributor and, still eat up those sales fees, still eat up, all of their extra fees, and the movie's going to make the money? And that just differs. And I'm not always right. I did it on Craving, and honestly, I think I made the wrong choice, but so
it's not always a matter if it's like a good or bad flick. Maybe it's just not the right application,
exactly,
or the right avenue to take.
Exactly. And the right timing, and honestly, things make less today, the same type of movies, than they did 5 years ago or even 2 years ago.
Well, I think a lot of that has to do with just how saturated the market is in general.
That's definitely a big part of it.
Because back when streaming services first started, it's like they were talking about that all these streamers were going to pretty much take everything because they just wanted content. They were competing with everybody else, so they wanted to be able to stockpile as much content. But now there's so many streaming services out there, and I think that they're starting to pare down and realize that not everything should be out there. So
yeah, and there's just it's gotten so cheap to make movies. I mean, it's it's a double-edged sword. On one hand, it's very exciting, like anybody can go out and make a feature film. On the other hand, anybody can make a feature film, and are, so like there's just the sheer number of movies being made and the ease of getting them into the market now has just created this, glut of content, and it's just, so now, whereas, back in 2014, the guys I was working for, they were making these, $20,000 to $50,000 movies, and they could pretty much guarantee they were going to at least break even. And most of them made good money. Those same things today would be making less than 10K in a year, probably.
Wow.
Yeah. Now, one of the other things too is that one of the conversations we had a few podcasts ago was, because I'm big into finding out more about distribution. Like with The Clock, that was my first real feature film in a while. So we experimented. We ended up finding a distributor named Bayview that I'm very, very happy with.
Yeah. Bayview's good.
I like them because they're very communicative. If I have a question, I reach out to them. I get an answer the same day. They keep me abreast of the promotions that they're doing and where they're putting the publicity out there. They're sending me the quarterly statements, and I'm getting paid. So I mean, those are all good signs of a good distributor. Yeah. But we had somebody on, like I said, a few podcasts ago that said they didn't go the natural distribution route. What they did is they went out and got a sales agent, and the sales agent is what did that. What are your thoughts on that? Have you gone that route before?
Yeah. So, and again, like I hate to crap on a thing, because every movie is different. There's everybody's experience is different. In my opinion, at least for me, I don't find sales agents very helpful. Because basically when you get a sales agent, like your overall deal, you're getting a piece of a piece. They're getting a percent. You have a deal with them, and then they make a deal with a distributor, and there's a deal with them. You know what I mean? So it's like you end up with, instead of a 60-40 or a 70-30, you end up around 40 or 30% when all's in the grand pie of things. So I don't like that. Now, if you had a movie that was just aces and you got the right sales agent and they hit it like on a bigger level, that that'd be great. But I personally haven't seen that happen. The one time I used a sales agent was on my second film, Edges of Darkness. I went with Shoreline Entertainment at the time, and at the time they had a good rep. And they distributed through Anchor Bay, who was really big at the time. Yeah. I mean, that movie, there were like, if you go into a Blockbuster Video, it was like 12 copies. Like it was like, if you know Video Days, like usually independent films.
I miss Blockbuster.
Like copies, But we had like 13. It was in Hollywood Video. Like the movie made like, I want to say 95 or 100,000 like in its first 3 months.
Nice.
But because of the contract, and I was green, I didn't know contracts, because of there was no sales cap, they basically inflated their expenses until like we literally made nothing. I saw maybe $5 or $6 grand from that movie years later. Years later, you know, and the most money I made on that movie was after those rights expired 7 years later, and then I put it back out through Film Hub. Then I started seeing some money from it.
Gotcha.
I made more money on my YouTube channel off that movie than I have from any distributor.
Wow. We have another question here for you from Dominic again. Another question for
cool.
Jason. What is your advice for filmmakers like myself who only made short films and are trying to do their first feature? Would you recommend self-finance investors or crowdfunding?
I was like, if you can self-finance, do it.
It cuts out the middleman.
Yeah, cuts out the middleman. The thing about crowdfunding that I like, and we talk about more about crowdfunding later, but it's like, especially if you're doing movies on the level that like I'm doing now. Like if you're making a movie for 200 or 300 grand, like that's a lot of risk, and most of the investors that invest in movies of that size are not like billionaires. These are people.
I am not.
Yeah, exactly. This is money where people like can actually get hurt. I'm talking about traditional financing now. Like say you do a 200,000 movie and you get maybe 4 or 5 investors and they're putting 50 grand. Like 50 grand can be a lot of money for a person if they really think they're going to get it back. And the thing about investing in movies, like honestly, like real talk, most of them don't make money. Like if you're funding traditionally, if you're a gambling man, odds are you're not going to make the money. So like I want to make movies that are at 200 or 300K at this point. Like that's the level I want to make movies. So if I crowdfund those, it mitigates that risk. So like if somebody's putting in $1,000 to the crowdfunder and they have no expectation of getting that money back, so then it's like it mitigates that risk. So like with Apex Predators Club, we raised $230 in crowdfunding, and then we raised probably another 65 in equity. But like,
nice. So
the equity you have to pay back, but $65,000 isn't a huge amount to pay back on a movie of that size. But $300,000, I mean, I think it's going to turn out. I think we probably will make it, but it's a scary risk. So that's the thing with financing. Like if you're, and even whether it's crowdfunding or traditional, if you're going to be raising money, you have to have some responsibility for, paying the money back on traditional. So if you can afford it, if you can pay for it yourself, or if you can do favors, I always say that's better. Because you don't, I mean, I have a pretty good track record of making money, but I have a few movies where I lost money for investors and like, it don't feel good.
No, it doesn't feel good, and that's one of those things that you can't control. So, I mean, at the end of the day, all you can do is try and put the best possible product out there. And then with the distribution game the way it is right now, and so many people scared, it's like it's hard. I mean, it's basically a crapshoot. So you just got to try and put your best foot forward. We do have another question here for you with regards to Apex Predators Club in the Mahal from Terra Cards. When I think of higher production indie films, I think of Horton and Mahal. How was working with the Mahals? Obviously, rest in peace, Michael, for sure.
Yeah. So, I've known the Mahals, like online for a few years,
Me too.
Several years. Yeah. And, like Michael was always, I was doing the crowdfunder for Craving. I admit 4 years ago, maybe 5. I don't even remember now. And, like out of nowhere, this guy he's just a Facebook friend, like, no, he would start DMing me and like, hey, I saw your campaign. It looks really good. Dude, you should try this. And like just giving me free advice, like being supportive. I think he threw in $50 on that first campaign too, and shared it and was, just supportive, and like that always. And then, I'm watching his campaigns and they're doing, every one is like over 200,000. You're just like, wow, that's inspiring. Like they inspired me to even try Craving. And then, I was successful with it and I did a hard place and we stayed, connected. And, I thought about working with him and, he had, messaged me about it, I don't know, 2 or 3 years ago. and is like, hey, do you have anything? Maybe we can work together. And I sent him a bunch of log lines of script I had, and they're like, yeah, nah, there's like they have a certain like thing, none of those fit. And then maybe a year later, I was like, I just had the idea for Apex, and I was like, this would fit really good with them. So I pitched it, and he was like, yeah, great. And it was right around my birthday, and I was going to Vegas for something else, and they invited me out for dinner on my birthday, and we hung out, and then, decided to make the movie. But the thing about like both Michael and Sonny, they're just, when people are successfully raising the amount of money that they are, like over and over, you're gonna have people that are gonna talk crap.
Of course.
So I had heard all this stuff, and there's people like, oh, they must be feeding their own money into it, or it's this and that, or they're taking money. Like, none of that is true. Like, none of it's true. Like, it was all legitimately raised. They weren't taking money. Like, they were putting their own money in, because all these movies didn't cost what they crowdfunded. They cost way more, and they were putting more money on top of it. And the thing about it, like, Michael, he was somebody that wanted to see other people succeed, and other people. Of course, he wanted to do his own stuff too, but he was really into giving opportunities, and he was like such a open-hearted guy, and he sweated the people that hated or complained or would talk crap, like it really bothered him.
Yeah.
Like he was just this, like, he was such a good guy. And I really, like, I got to know him really well during like the year, prepping the crowdfunder, running the crowdfunder with him. And I mean, I learned so much, and it was just it was a huge blow to the community. And it was the one, I don't want to say bright side. There's no bright side, but the one kind of
silver lining
or bittersweet thing was like seeing the online outpouring of love for him.
Yeah.
For the most part, there was very few, like shitty things. It was like all like, my timelines were just filled on social media, like talking about him, and so like that was cool. Yeah,
I mean, the few interactions that I had with him were always online, but they always seemed very genuine. Mm-hmm. And, I reviewed a couple of his films, and he was very appreciative of, the unbiasedness and how honest I was with him. I mean, yeah. I think he knew he wasn't making Oscar movies, but he was making entertaining movies. And that's what I was looking at. And it sucks because I kept bugging him about Bikers versus Werewolves, and he was like, "You're going to be the first one to get a screener when it's done." And it's like, awesome. I was so waiting on that, and things happen, and it's all good. But I'm still looking forward to that flick.
Yeah. I mean, they will finish it. I mean, it's getting done. But yeah, it's just a damn shame.
As far as I understand, because you've taken over Apex pretty much by yourself at this point. That is supposed to be the last Mahal project.
Yeah, I think so.
Sonny doesn't have any ambitions on trying to continue.
I don't think so. At least not under the Mahal Empire. I think I don't want to speak for him, but I think Michael was it was Michael's dream, and I think Sonny was supporting his brother. And I mean,
Sonny.
Yeah. He has a knack for it, absolutely. And it would be cool. And there's been some talk of this or that afterwards, but it won't be this. And I don't think he'll do crowdfunding anymore. I think he's done with that.
Yeah, you got what is it? Misha Brill says he'll be working with you.
Yeah. I know that guy. He's a piece of shit. Super nice guy. Super.
Scott Ward also says hello, Jason.
Talk about a piece of shit.
Love the hive hat.
Oh, thank you, Mary Kate.
Now, when we were talking about distributors here, we have a friend of ours here, Nicole Butler Vegas. Are you familiar with Nicole?
Yes. Love Nicole.
Yeah, she posted this here. Gravitas got us on marketing fees $30K, which we just asked them to show me where they marketed it. I've heard things about Gravitas. I've heard things about a lot of people. So that's why.
Yeah, I've heard good and bad. And 30K is a pretty high sales markup. The thing about Gravitas, at least how they used to be, and Gravitas has also changed ownership in like the last. I think it's
only been the last couple of years, hasn't it?
Yeah. It's fairly recent because I know like the Mahals distributed a lot of movies through Gravitas.
Yes,
and they like their last batch of films, they're not messing with them at all anymore. But I know that they were getting fairly sizable MGs for their movies, and some made money past of it and some didn't. It kind of depends. But yeah, I honestly. On a smaller movie, anything under 100 or 200K, I probably wouldn't go with a company that was charging anything over 10,000 myself.
Yeah. Now, crowdfunding, obviously, that so many people are wanting to go that route because obviously that's something that you not necessarily have to pay back, and you get the fans involved. It also helps promoting and stuff. But for everybody and that's why I've been kind of reluctant to do that, is because everybody that I've spoken to, including the Mahals, has been that it's basically a full-time job. If you really want to do it well, it's a full-time job.
It totally is. So this is my pitch on crowdfunding, and I think it's worth people doing at least once, because and here's the big plus with crowdfunding: it's not about raising the money. That's not the plus. It's not about not having to pay the money back. That's not the plus. It's not the fan building. That is a plus, but it's not the thing. The thing that crowdfunding really teaches you is like how to market, because that is what a crowdfunder is. All you're doing is you're going to people online or in person or texting, and you're trying to get them to go to a website and take an action. It's no different than promoting your movie on Amazon or promoting it on Tubi. And the tools that you learn when you're marketing a successful crowdfunder, those apply to, distributing that movie and pushing it and getting eyeballs on it. So I was going to do crowdfunding for a movie called The Campus back in 2017. And at the time, we had an angel investor for a company, and I talked him into buying me a crowdfunding class from Justin Giddings, the Kickstarter guy. And I think it was like a $2,000 class. And I didn't end up crowdfunding that movie, but I did take the class. And the things that I learned from him in that class, I use today to market my films, and to do my crowdfunders. It totally, I mean, I don't want to give him too much credit, but in a lot of ways that made me the entrepreneur that I am today. 'Cause in 2017, I was still pretty much working for other people. And then when I discovered how to market my own stuff and how to be the face of the thing and, successfully market things that, it changed everything for me, in the next 3 or 4 years. I think it was 2020, 19 or 20, when I just stopped working for other people altogether. I haven't worked for anyone since 2020. I mean, I did one for hire documentary in 22. But besides that, nothing, and I put a lot of that on the education that I got through the crowdfunding class.
I never thought of that angle. That's a great angle. Mm-hmm. Tell me about your process, because like I said, we have a lot of filmmakers and stuff that watches. One of the processes that I really want to go over with you with, because sometimes Amy and I go back and forth on this, casting. Do you do, with regards to casting, do you pretty much put out a casting call? Do you work it that way? Do you do it pretty much internally, people that you know of, have heard of, worked with before? What is your optimum process for casting a film?
So, and again, it depends on the level of the film. But the thing about independent films, and I hate to say this because it sounds discouraging for actors, but there's so many different things that can go wrong on an independent film. There's so many things that go wrong on any film. But when when you do an independent film, we get, 10 to 15 days, maybe, and, on a big movie, they get, 30 to 60. Right. So if they have a bad day, it's 1% of their movie or 2%. If we have a bad day, it's 10%, you know what I mean? And one bad apple, one, bad thing can kill 10% of your movie or more.
Yeah.
So I tend to work with people that I've worked with or other people that I know have worked with first.
Yeah.
And then I fill it out from there. And don't get me wrong, I would love to have the money and time and bandwidth to put out a casting call and look for new talent and take chances, but I mean,
that's a great point. It really is.
I'm putting in my own money. Even on Apex, we raised all the money we've raised, and I'm still putting in a good chunk of money myself. I have skin in the game. So am I going to take a cast member that I don't know from Ohio that I've never met? They might be awesome, but I err on the side of caution.
That's a great point. You have another back to crowdfunding here. We have a comment here, Scott. Crowdfunding can be great for all involved. It helped me jumpstart my acting. It also builds a strong and great community around the film.
Yeah. He brings up a good point, and it reminds me of, because there's a lot of people that will crap on pay to play, and there are actors, that pay to play. And here's the thing, so in Craving, I had an actress, and I won't name her because I don't like to out, the pay to play actors, but she was close to 40. She'd taken all the acting classes, lived outside of LA, submitted for stuff all the time, and had done so for 10, 12 years, right? And just was not getting her shot. And she knew me from my YouTube channel, trusted me as an individual. And she was like, you know what, if I can pay $1,000 and guarantee I'm going to have this thing, I will do it. And got that opportunity, did a great job, and has done other things since. Or you'll have a lot of cats, a little later in life, say their early retirement or whatever, and they always wanted to do it. They have the bandwidth to do it. They're really passionate about it, and they use that to get started. And they have no problem doing it. They look at it as, and then there's a whole nother subset of people that it's like their vacation. They instead of going to
that's a good point, actually.
You know what I mean? Instead of going to a horror convention and paying, whatever, however much you spend at a convention, to get
ridiculous
the photographs and the pictures, probably more than what they're paying for the roles.
Oh, for sure.
So instead of doing all that, you can pay $1,000 and you can be in a scene with Felissa Rose or whoever it is, Kane Hodder, or, whoever, Richard Grieco. And, I have no problem offering those things. And if, people have a problem with it, I'm kind of like, screw them. Because movies like Apex Predators Club, like Craving, like A Hard Place, those wouldn't exist without crowdfunding. They just wouldn't. Those were big swings. They would have been hard to traditionally finance. And I got to make them. And crowdfunding made that possible. And I am fine with it.
And I think it also depends on the production team. I won't say who, but I know that there's a production team that I've done some stuff with, and the whole pay to play thing is some of their actors get some of that money back as being a part of the cast. So you may put in this much money, but you're going to get some of it back because they pay all of their cast and crew. So it's not always just you pay the money and you're completely out of it.
Right, but also like you were just mentioning before, this comment right here, he paid to play on Terrifier 2 and been recognized because of it. So
exactly.
Yep. What was I just?
Did we lose Jason?
Jason looks like he froze up there. Jason, if you can hear us, get right back to us. But we'll go ahead and take him off screen just for a moment until he gets logged back in. But that's a great point. And that's one of the things that I really wanted to touch base with him on, because I know he's involved in that aspect. And that's something that almost everybody that comes on here or everybody that watches here is always asking about. Because like I said, they're filmmakers themselves and they're looking for how's the best possible situation for me to do what I need to raise money. And that's raising money and stuff's always been one of the biggest key components, as expected. So hearing his angle, and he brings up some great points as far as that goes.
Well, I think it was really actually enlightening just now, just thinking that like he's right though. A lot of people you can pay to play versus going to, on a vacation or, like I've been to the beach. I mean, we live in Florida. I've been to the beach half a dozen times and I'm like, growing up at Ocean City, Maryland, I'm like, I don't want to go to the beach anymore, but I could pay to play if I wanted to.
Yeah.
I probably wouldn't be any good at it, but
But the other thing too is that for somebody like he said that's aspiring to get into acting or whatever it is, they don't have to worry about trying to audition and trying to get. They know that if they pay this amount of money, they're going to be in a scene. Their face is going to be seen on screen, and it's not just that, but it's going there and hanging out on set, seeing how things are done, interacting with the cast and the crew, and finding out how all that. To me, that's worth it right there. Is just being a part of that to get that feel of exactly how a movie's made and what you may need to do the next go around.
I mean, I learned a ton last week being on the set of The Hive with Sean. Like that was completely eye-opening, and I was completely green to it all. And Sean was, very patient with me, and he's very good at directing. He knew exactly what he was trying to get. And but like Jay Horton said, like every film's got its hiccups. We had a couple hiccups in the morning, and they compounded over the course of the day. And you lose half a day of shooting sometimes, or a day, and that's a lot for a small indie flick.
It really is. Well, speaking of The Hive, were you on screen or were you behind the scenes there?
I was a PA for most of the day. There will be one small scene with me.
Yeah. Is that the big nude scene?
What's that?
Is that the big nude scene?
Yeah. Almost.
Wow.
Jay, you're back.
Yeah, we're having some weather out here. Our power went out for a second.
Where you at?
Georgia.
Okay, yeah, because we're in Florida and they had that hurricane that skimmed up. I don't know if that's what you're getting
we're
some
seeing
stuff
some
from.
bands from it. I didn't even notice it was raining, and then the power went out, and I heard the thunder. I was like, "Oh shit!" Sorry about that.
We were getting into the whole crowdfunding thing again, or whatever, talking about it, because that always seems to be one of the biggest points that every filmmaker that I ever speak to talks about and asks about is the whole making the money part and how that all works. So it's great to get some insight. We have another post here from Scott. I've been on 2 films with Jason and about to be on the 3rd. I retired early a few years back and went into acting school for several years. I saw crowdfunding roles as sort of an acting school app, absolutely. Now I have done several things just by auditioning and getting roles, but much of that is due to the things I did with crowdfunding.
Yeah. And Scott's a great guy to work with.
And that's kind of what I was talking to Lance about while you were coming back on, was that if you're really into acting and this is what you would like to do, sometimes that's a bit of a shortcut, because you're going to get in there because of that, what you paid for. But the whole being on set, interacting with the cast, the crew, seeing how things are done, seeing how a movie's made, seeing what's expected of you as an actor and stuff like that, I think that can go a long way for the future as well.
Totally. And, and that's not to say there are not, bad actor filmmakers out there that are not taking advantage of it and are not, like acting unscrupulous or, raising money and not making the movies or, like that stuff does happen. Yeah. But I think by and large, I don't think people set out to do that stuff. I think by and large, most people are like legit. I do think things sometimes happen. Apex Predators Club, we just had a producer die, and he may have made promises to certain people that production wasn't aware of that can't be honored. Does that make us unscrupulous? No, we just, shit happens.
Yeah, I mean, I've had my share of working with people that no matter what you do, you're not going to be able to please everybody. Yeah. No matter what you do, they're going to go and talk, like you said, shit about you and stuff, even though it's not true. So, I mean, at the end of the day, I think that's just kind of comes with the territory. You know what I'm saying? You just got to do your thing, be as open and transparent as you can, be good to people, and eventually the truth comes out.
Yeah, 100%.
Well, and I think for like me, like, I'm careful about who I attach my name to, because I don't want to do just pay to play or just be the producer. Like I want to kind of be involved if I can, and I first started doing that with like Acrostar out of Illinois, I saw a couple of their films. I started chatting with them. They started having me do their reviews. And the next thing is, you know what, I'll buy in on this. I'll fund some money as a producer. And Ann and Steve are real good at keeping me in the loop on stuff. But it's I'm not going to just do it and hope for the best. If you're going to pay to play, like be mindful of who you're playing with.
Yes, absolutely, absolutely. And you know, a lot of filmmakers are out there and they're watching this, or you know, they're looking for the tips on how to do it, and you know, how to be successful. And like honestly, like you know, my success in crowdfunding has come because people trust me. You know, before I did a crowdfunder, I had a YouTube channel, not super huge. You know, I think I had like 10,000 subscribers at the time. But, you know, I put myself out there 3 times a week talking about filmmaking, talking about distribution, like people trust, and I had a reputation for helping other people. And that, you know, helped me. And I also, in doing the YouTube channel, I got better at being on camera, you know, better at talking to people, better at, you know, I think my pitch videos have just gotten better and better. And, you know, a lot of that is my YouTube channel, you know.
Cool. To tap onto that right there, Aaron Carlson says, Jay Horton has been a mentor for a lot of us in the industry. His insights and knowledge has not only encouraged us, it has proven it can be done. Appreciate you, brother. Look at that.
Yeah. Unfortunately, then you have people like Aaron come in line to make stuff. I'm just kidding.
Aaron's a cool dude, man.
No, he's a great dude, and he's doing some incredible stuff with his nightmares. Right now, it's like a Freddy Krueger, Jason thing. But
yeah, I've been following him along on Facebook. He's got some wild things going on.
Dude, he showed me a rough scene, and it looks awesome. Like I was like super impressed. I was like, he's gonna be doing big things for sure.
Awesome.
Yeah.
So.
And I did want to say, and what's really cool is like besides him, there are other filmmakers like. Bray, Devin Bray. He's a black filmmaker, and he was a watcher my channel, and like the stuff he's doing now, like he's making stuff that's making way more money than what I am. Like, but he got inspired through what I was doing, and that's awesome. Like that makes
feel good.
So good. Yeah.
Yeah. That's like why I got into the whole indie horror junkie thing. I mean, as a filmmaker myself, there was never really any outlet for me to help market the things that I was doing. I mean, you have Fangoria, Morgue, all that stuff, but they usually only promote the studio films and this and that. So I started this by a newsletter because I wanted to pump not just my stuff, but all the people that I've met at the different film festivals. There were so many great people. So that's why I get a big kick out of doing that, writing an article and getting people to come back and say, thank you for helping us get out there. And the next thing you know, you see them somewhere else. So my biggest fantasy probably is with Indie Horror Junkies to do a big piece on a particular film and then see that film take off, and they have a big Fangoria and they say, well, it all started with Indie Horror Junkies. There we go.
I know. You know, the funny thing about, you know, like Dread and Fangoria and Bloody Disgusting, you know, like when I first started doing movies, it was pretty easy to get an article in Bloody Disgusting or Fangoria. Like you finished a movie and they would get it. I haven't got anything from those guys at like, I don't know, 5 or 6. I mean, a few things here and there. Yeah. But like it's really hard now.
Well, it's not to knock them also. We're not knocking them.
Yeah. No. They're
just
doing
so popular. And they're probably, you know, overrun with stuff.
Oh, like dude. Yeah, they get hit up by hundreds of filmmakers, you know, a week, a day, whatever it is. I totally understand. I have no bitterness, but it does. But, you know, marketing is just, it's gotten so, like, it's tough, man. You know, I paid for a publicist for A Hard Place, and I still had trouble getting on, like, bigger sites. You know, the publicist, it was worth it. We got a lot of publicity, we got a lot of reviews, but, you know, very few in, you know, the big ones, you know, and we paid a good amount of money.
That's too bad. That is a really solid film, to be honest with you. That's and Felissa Rose, man, that when you were, I know you said you wrote the script like 10 years ago, but like
the first
the whole like Braveheart scene with her like doing this speech, I'm just like in awe of like, man, I can't believe this is like small time indie flick. Like this feels much larger than it is.
Was she on horseback?
No,
she might as well have been.
She could have been. Yeah, she could have been. No, you know, I'm really proud of Felissa's. She just won Best Actress at Days of the Dead a couple of months ago for
that role.
Yeah, and you know what? The Felissa Rose had never won an acting award.
What?
Before.
Really?
It's her first one.
That's insane.
Wow. Yeah. And not to pat myself on my back, but I'm like, I do think it's one of her best performances. Like,
absolutely.
I'm super proud. And one of the best moments for me as a director ever was directing her in that in the dinner scene in the barn.
Oh yeah, that was a really interesting scene.
It's really cool because like when you're working with an actress as seasoned as Felissa, like and if you're not shy, like I'm not shy, I'll make adjustments. But like she will just give you so many different things, and she wants to play. She wants to do more. She wants to do different stuff, and it's just it was a lot of fun. That
scene, the dinner scene was really unique. It was one of the things I brought up in my review because it was like you've got these like they're just unhinged, like unnatural, brutal people, but like we still have to have some sort of etiquette. It's very yin and yang, and I was like, man, that really just stood out to me.
Yeah. And I got to give a little credit to Michael Epstein right there, Michael J. Epstein. When I decided to update the script, I wrote a new version of it, and I was like, you know what, I want to get somebody else's pass on it. So I hired Michael, and he did a write on it, and that dinner scene was actually his conception. I mean, I ended up rewriting a lot of the dialogue, but it was like that was his idea, and it was like kind of a Texas Chainsaw Massacre homage.
It's a very unique scene.
Yeah.
She had me in tears during the porch scene. It was hard to remain the stone-faced character of White.
Yeah. She was just really. It's really fun to see somebody like that's been around like that maybe hasn't got like a lot of the good juicy roles to like get something to sink their teeth into.
Yeah, and the thing with Felissa too is that she's been in so many movies. Okay.
Yeah.
But one of the things that I can't stop hearing about her is that she is so good to her fans. She appreciates the people. She's the nicest, sweetest person. I mean, to me, that says a lot about her and her character.
Dude,
well, that's what cracks me up is like she is such a sweetheart, but like when you watch her as Henrietta, you're like, that can't possibly be the same person.
Dude, she is a ray of sunshine. Like when she comes onto a set, she raises the mood like 40-50%, like just from being there. And then if you go to a convention and see her interacting with people, you're just like, that is her element, dude. Like when I started doing Days of the Dead and like watching her, I'm just like, man. I mean, there were points when her line was bigger than the Terrifier dudes. Like,
I heard that.
Like people love her, and she is so genuine. Like she likes the people. She likes talking to them. She'll go late. She like just keeps going until her line's gone. Like
I love it.
I don't know. She's a really like I have her in Apex. Like I'll continue to work. I actually have a thing that I'm writing a lead part for right now. But like I love working with Felissa.
Right. Says Robert Bravo here says she's always been a pleasure to work with. I remember on Craving when we did her big effect scene.
Yeah, it was funny because so she got her spoiler. She gets her head blown off in that movie, or like
does she? Spoiler.
Yeah. And like so the gag was he had like a tube that ran up through a prosthetic in her face, and it was just pouring blood out of her face. Mm-hmm. But the thing is, like a thing like that, it'll pull in your eyes or whatnot. So like and then the shot went on for I don't know, like 2 minutes, and she totally, man, she just did the thing. She was awesome. And then, like we thought for a minute we might have blinded her. We were so scared.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. But it was safe. It was safe. She was fine.
We have another question here for you from Dominic. Question for Jason. Does doing marketing and distribution help better the chances of making money? Not a guarantee, but at least a better chance.
Yes. It's a better chance. There's no guarantees. I mean, you can do everything right. You can make a good movie, you can have a good marketing campaign, and you could still fall on your face. But your odds are better if you have the good marketing campaign and the good movie. So yeah, it's definitely worth doing. It's just anybody that wants to get into filmmaking, to make a good living, like if that is your chief motivation, go be a lawyer.
Right.
It's tough.
I have heard similar things straight from Rick's mouth.
Yeah, exactly. I was going to say, one of the things I try to tell people that they don't listen to is that this is not a get-rich-quick scheme. This has to be something that this is your passion, and you have to take your time, and you have to cultivate it and see where it goes from there.
Yeah, 100%. There's avenues to make money, but it's not. There's no sure way to do it for definite.
Okay. Well, we're getting ready to close the show out here. So in the last minute or two, tell people where they can find you. Like, tell us about your YouTube channel, because I've got to follow that now as well.
Yeah. So you can find me on YouTube at youtube.com/J Horton. You can find me pretty much anywhere on social media at DJ Horton, or like on Facebook, I'm Jason Horton, because you have to have your real name. But pretty much.
Oh, we also have another comment here for you on what you just said here. Scott says, I was a lawyer. Don't do that either. Absolutely. All right. So what's up next? Apex Predators Club's up next?
Yeah. Apex Predators Club is the next one. And then I'm probably going to take a little break. I do documentaries in the meantime, so I'll probably do a few of those while I decide what I want to do next. It might be that smaller scale, like Felissa movie I was just talking about, but we'll see. I still got another 6 months probably on Apex. So.
Sounds great.
That starts shooting what, next week?
Yeah, man, we're like 12 days away.
Oh wow.
Yeah, I'm nervous as hell.
Well, I can say I'm very happy to have my name attached to your work for Apex, so I'm really looking forward to see how that pans out.
Awesome, thank you.
Dominic says, thank you for answering my questions. This was a great show, guys. We appreciate you being on board, Dominic. We try to get everybody involved. Once again, Jay, thank you so much for being a part of the show. I mean, this hour flew by. I wish we had another hour. But like I said earlier, just hold on for a moment. Let's close the show out, and we can give you a proper goodbye, okay?
Sounds good.
All right, we'll see you in just a minute. All right, yeah. I mean, I that hour just flew by. I looked at the clock, and it's like, 7:50, and I'm like, come on!
It always does. It always does.
Absolutely. That was a great show. A lot of great questions, a lot of great insight. So absolutely. All right. Thank you so much for filling in for Amy here, Lance. You did great.
Yes, sir.
You're always welcome. We'll definitely
appreciate it.
Next week, I was telling Lance about this offline. Next week, we have the Scaricon people involved. So we're going to have a nice big episode telling you anything and everything there is to know about Scaricon just before Scaricon actually happens. That way, whoever doesn't have a ticket, get your ticket, get out there. It's going to be a blast, and we can't wait to see you. All right? So once again, thank you, everybody, for joining us, and we'll see you next Wednesday.